It is now time to experience the buzz, a podcast that takes an inside look at amazing people doing amazing things. Get ready for some great conversation that will be fascinating, educational, and inspiring. We will also leave room to help small businesses in a big way. Now, here's your host, entrepreneur Steve Buzzard.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in Experience the Buzz. It is episode number 82 as we roll through 2022. So excited to bring you today's episode because I'm just going to say it's pretty amazing because it was something I was not expecting. The guest is Scott Shapiro. Scott loves tiki bars to a point where he went on a 17 tiki bar excursion with 3 other friends. There's so much more to tell you about, and the visual on this is insane. This is the one YouTube version that you definitely have to check out if you are checking it out on the audio. So try both because believe me, it is a full experience. We'll get to more to Scott in just a second, but now it's time for What's the Buzz? And today, What's the Buzz? Well, listen, I just want to say thank you. I want to thank you for the support. I've gotten so much great feedback from you, and we are just trying to push to be better. We've made a big step. We're in year number 2, which is great. That's an accomplishment as a podcaster that I will gladly take, but it's about getting better. So what have we done? We've made this step into the YouTube world. I have brought on Michael Kenobi. He is now the producer of this program, and we have been sharing ideas that we're very excited to bring your way. So the audio version is still going to happen, right? That's our foundation. But now we got this visual thing. I'm a visual person, so to see something on YouTube will definitely have a different experience. And so I hope you get that opportunity, especially with today's episode. So again, thank you for your support, and we'll just continue to go. You can find Experience the Buzz in many different ways. You can go to my website, buzzardball.com, and just go listen in. That will take you to the podcast page. And of course, you can go to Apple or Spotify, which are the 2 mains. Throw Google in there for a small percentage, and then just type in Experience the Buzz, and boom, it should be right there for you. Same thing on the YouTube side. Just type in Experience the Buzz. You will see our episodes there. I ask you go ahead and subscribe because in that way you'll be alerted each week to when new episodes come out. We are trying to get on a schedule of coming to you every week. In fact, we're looking at backloading what we have so that we can bring that to you on a consistent basis. So just know that we are working hard, and Experience the Buzz will definitely keep forging ahead. So with that said, Scott Shapiro. So here's the deal. When I was reached out to by Scott and his family to say, hey, Scott would love to come on the show to talk about his tiki bar craze or experience and stuff. And I'm like, pretty interesting. I'm never going to say no to anyone. Scott's a good friend of mine, but I had no idea. See, here's the deal. Scott brought the experience of the tiki bar to today. Now, if you don't know what the tiki bar is, it started back in the 30s. It's got a great history to it, and Scott is going to hit on all that. You're going to see his tiki bar that he has in his backyard, and then he's going to talk about this 17 tiki bar excursion that he did with his friends. Are you ready for this? In just over 2 days, 55 hours, experiencing the drinks and the nuances, and he reveals his top 4 that came from the group. So pretty good stuff. I don't want to give too much away, although I already have. I am still kind of got goosebumps from this great interview just because of what Scott brought to the table today. You're going to see it. You're going to hear it. It's all right here on Experience the Buzz. Enjoy the conversation. Welcome in, everybody. It is Experience the Buzz, and I'm laughing because I've got something super special for you because this is our 3rd episode that is going on YouTube. So we've been audio up until this point. That's about 79 episodes in, but just recently we've added the video element, and this I did not expect. Who is the guest? It is Scott Shapiro. He is a good friend of mine. He's an attorney. He has kids, but we are talking tiki bar. That's right. And if you don't know what the tiki bar craze is, that's why we have Scott here, because he is going to really indulge us. And on the video end, you can see that he is in his own tiki bar. So Scott, welcome to Experience the Buzz. So good to have you.
Thank you, Steve. Good to be here.
Yeah, this is excellent. So you surprised me with this. I was like, I was not expecting this, nor did I realize that you had a tiki bar in your backyard.
You thought I'd just be in some beige room with beige furniture and beige stuff all around me.
Absolutely. And it's the furthest from that. And it's funny that you kind of describe it that way because the tiki bar craze is full of color, right? It's a full of color. And you actually said you wouldn't mind starting us off with a drink. And so we're going to get down to the history of it. But I know rum is the choice of alcohol when we talk about tiki bars. Is that correct?
It really is. And what I hope to do is to make a drink for you. Well, you're far away.
Yes, it'll be virtual.
I'll make a drink for me, and I'll enjoy the drink while I tell you a little bit about the history of tiki and kind of how it's come back recently and some of the fun activities we've been planning.
Yeah, so I believe the Mai Tai, which is a drink that I know a lot of people know of. Maybe for those that don't know what the Mai Tai is, you could give us the ingredients and how it works.
Absolutely. So, what's interesting with the Mai Tai is many people have been on a cruise ship or they've been somewhere in Florida sitting on a beach and they've ordered a Mai Tai and they've gotten this thick, syrupy, sweet drink. Yeah, that's not what the traditional Mai Tai was. And in fact, there's different Mai Tais over the years. And we're going to start with a 1944 traditional original Mai Tai. And that's what we're going to make today. I choose to use a great app that lists all the ingredients and helps me through it. And so this 1944, we're going to start off with 1 ounce of lime juice. So before I got on camera, I squeezed my lime. You can see my lime husk in there.
Wow.
Start off again with 1 ounce of fresh lime juice.
Folks, this is taking it to a different level. I love it.
Now we're going to add a 1/2 ounce of something called orange carousel. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Here's orange carousel. And the version a lot of people have seen of this is triple sec. Triple sec is an orange flavored liqueur, but orange carousel is kind of like the Cadillac, if you will, of dry orange liqueurs. You've probably seen some of the sweeter ones as well, like Cointreau. They tend to be sweet, but this is really dry. So we're going to go with a 1/2 ounce of that. Now we're going to go with a 1/4 ounce of something called orgeat. And I don't know if you've heard of orgeat before, Steve.
I wouldn't even know how to spell it. Oh, yes. Okay. Now that I see it.
So orgeat is French, and it is an almond syrup. It tends to be sweet. So we're going to go with a 1/2 ounce of that. All right. And now we're going to add a little bit of simple syrup. Excuse me, a 1/4 ounce of orgeat. Now we're going to do a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. Simple syrup, as you may know, is equal parts water and sugar that you just heat up so it gets all dissolved and has a little bit of sweetness to it. And now for the special ingredients. We're going to go with 2 types of rum for this particular drink. We're going to do a traditional Jamaican rum, a dark rum. And I'm going to use Smith & Cross out of London. We're going to go with 1 ounce of that. And then the second rum we're going to put in is a 1 ounce of aged Martinique rum. I prefer the Barbados rum, so I'm going with a Dorleys here. So I'm going to add 1 ounce of that, all right? Now what you can't see, because of the way the camera is set up, is what I'm putting this into. Looks like just a normal cocktail jigger, right? But what's special about it is the ice that's in it. And we'll have to talk for a few minutes, not right now, but a little later, about this. It's called pebble ice.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Special kind of ice, and it has different kind of properties. And so I'll share a little bit about that with you. So we're going to take that up. We're going to put the jigger in. We're going to do a little bit of shaking, really get those ingredients mixed together.
Bartender Scott.
And we're going to take our Mai Tai glass. This one's from Trader Vic's. We're going to add more of that tiki ice to the bottom. Good amount of ice in there. Now we're going to pour the drink in. And I choose to pour it in with all the ice that was already there because I want a little bit more water in my drink.
I like it.
And then, in order to top this off, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to put a dried lemon slice because garnish is a really important aspect to this. And then I'm going to drop in this little little tropical boat. It's another piece of lime with some cherries and a little umbrella on it. We're just going to drop that right into the drink. And then I'm going to grab a straw from right over here at the end. We're going to put that in there. Are you ready to enjoy it with me, Steve?
Yes, I am. The visual is tremendous. And you can see the care. Scott, you good?
That is a great drink. That is
wow.
a great drink.
So Scott, thank you. Yeah, so that's the traditional Mai Tai, and I'm glad you broke that down. And another thing I saw when I was kind of researching tiki bars is that there's numerous amounts of rums. I was not aware of that.
Yeah. So many people are aware of where distilled alcohol comes from. You know, you say to someone, "Where's whiskey come from?" They say grains. Where does vodka come from? A lot of people say potatoes, right? Where does gin come from? Well, it's got the flavor of the juniper berry in it. Tequila is from agave, from cactus. Well, rum is just from sugar. It's just distilled sugar. And it really comes out of the Caribbean. And I've got back here about, 30 different rums, ranging from flavored rums like plantation pineapple, which is just a fantastic rum.
Wow.
There are sipping rums. Estancia rum from Colombia is a sipping rum. If you ever come over, I'll give you a sip of this. It tastes like you're drinking a good scotch. Really intended to be that way. And then there are also very fresh rums that are super light in color. They look almost completely clear. All right, so there's a huge variety of rums back here. But what I hoped to do was to share a little bit with you about where Tiki came from and kind of where it's going.
Yes.
And if you'll bear with me 1 second, what I want to make sure everyone understands is I'm maybe a sophomore when it comes to Tiki. Maybe I'm in summer school between sophomore year and junior year. And I am not an expert. And we have some amazing people here in Sacramento who are experts in the Tiki world. We've got Buddy, who used to work over at the Jungle Bird, who really knows a lot about it. Kurt, others within town who really know it. And there's a whole Sacramento Ohana community of people that get together for Tiki every month. There's a bunch of people who have Tiki bars at home just like this, and they really are the experts. So I'm, summer school between sophomore and junior year, and if you accept that, then you accept where the knowledge is coming from.
I certainly accept it, because for me, in my eyes right now, you are graduating, adulting. This is good. Again, I'm blown away at the visual of this. And so if people are listening on the audio end, like, yes, we're going to tell the story. I want you to be in tune for that, but I really invite you to go over to the YouTube version just to see this for yourself. So let's start with the history. That's great, because I did my research, but I'm like, Scott's going to have this down. So take us through this craze, the Tiki Bar craze.
Yeah, so there were a few gentlemen who, back towards the beginning of the 20th century, felt like people needed escapism. They needed a place to go. And one of them was a guy who became known as Trader Vic's, and he had a bar called Pinky Pink's. It was down in Emeryville, right near us. It became what's ultimately the Trader Vic's these days, although a slightly different site. And Trader Vic wanted to create this escapism. And so bars up until then had windows, there was a lot of light, and it was just a place you went to drink. And what Vic said is, people can't afford to get on an airplane and fly to Hawaii or Barbados. We have that luxury now, but they didn't have that luxury then. Very expensive, very hard to do. And so he wanted to create this escape place where there weren't windows, they were blacked out. The inside was set up in a tropical theme. And this actually led to an explosion of these kinds of bars that were escapism. There were some bars that were bamboo bars, there were tropical bars, and ultimately Tiki bars, and they all had in common this Tiki guy I've got over here, right? This Easter egg kind of guy. So maybe Easter Island, not Easter egg. That's like 2 weeks from now, right, Steve?
Correct.
So it started growing, and then what happened was after World War II, Steve, remember McHale's Navy?
I don't. Help me.
Okay, so the TV show, kind of like Gilligan's Island, and it was about soldiers who had this crazy life. It was a humorous life, but they were in the South Pacific for World War II, and all sorts of hijinks ensued. And soldiers came back from the Pacific theater. And of course, they didn't have a great time in war. but many of them had some fond memories of the warmth, of the tropics, of the women in the grass skirts, of the rum and the drinking and all the fruit. And so when they came back from World War II, the tiki bar really exploded, and there were hundreds around the country as people going for that escapism.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that generation started not going to bars, dying out, not hanging out in bars anymore. And by the 70s, Steve, that's your childhood, right? My childhood.
Correct. Yep.
By the 70s, tiki bars were these super tacky places that served pina coladas and no one wanted to go to. That wasn't where people were. When in reality, an actual tiki drink tends to have 6, 8, 10, 12 ingredients. You saw it with the drink, right? Lots of little ingredients, sometimes eyedroppers of essence of stuff. And so tiki was really on the outs. It was on its last leg through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Starting in the 2000s, it started coming back. And it came back because of the craft cocktail movement. And the craft cocktail movement was all about finding ingredients, really careful, and making amazing drinks. And there's this one guy, I'll reach over here and I'll get my book. There's one guy named Martin Cate. And Martin Cate was one of the originators at a bar called Forbidden Island, which is on Alameda Island, right outside of Oakland. And he was one of the people who started saying, hey, there's a history here, there's quality here. Rum is not the cheap drink that college students drink. It's actually as good as a scotch or a whiskey or a good vodka. And we can do quality ingredients. And he started bringing back, and he wrote this book, Smugglers Cove, which is kind of the Bible. The previous Bible was the Trader Vic's book from 1946, but he brought it back. And if you read this book, if you buy this book, not only does it have all the recipes in the back half, it has all the history in the front half that really talks about how we got where we are, talks about the different kinds of rums, talks about the different kind of drinks. And so he started bringing it back. And it would shock most people to know there are more than 40 tiki bars in California alone. And there are tiki bars opening up all over the place. I've been to a tiki bar that opened in the last 5 years in Nashville. There's 2 in Indianapolis, in Arlington, Texas, in a strip mall, just blocks from the stadium where the football team plays. There's a tiki bar in Bakersfield, which is an amazing tiki bar. There's 2 up in Portland. There's 2 in Vegas. They're just everywhere now. And so what you've got now is you've got people like these folks who wrote this book called Minimalist Tiki. And Minimalist Tiki is just a fantastic tiki cookbook. And if you are interested in making some of these drinks, this is a great one. I'll just tell you, for example, there is a drink in here. You've had Angostura bitters before, the bitters
yes.
that you put 2 drops at the top. Well, there's a drink in here with 1.5 ounces of those bitters in it, because it is just a really interesting ingredient when you're making really creative drinks. So that's a little bit of the history. Again, I'm not the expert. I've just read a bit, and I guess you're the 6th grader, right? I'm the 10th grader, but there are seniors and graduate students out there who know so much more than me.
Oh man, Scott, I am still in a state of shock in a good way, because your preparation coming into this, and then of course that great visual drop, or that backdrop that you have of your own tiki bar, which resides in your backyard. And the reason we need to let people know that this all kind of came about was I love being able to put the light on subjects such as this, like who would have thought the tiki bar craze, and what is the kind of the force behind it and the history behind it. But it was great because your wife reached out to me and said, my husband did something. And I'm all, tell me more. And you went on a tour, and you and 3 other guys. Now, I thought this would be something that would span over a couple of weeks. I wasn't sure how this looked. And then when you sent me the information, it was like, it says Friday, February 4th, and you have a time at 11 a.m. to Sunday, February 6th at 6 p.m. And you visited, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 tiki bars. Tell us how this all came about.
So I'll first say that I wish I was in a tiki shirt right now, because it would just complete the image for you.
It would.
55 degrees outside today, so I was a little cold for that. I was introduced to tiki by my good friend Andrew, who lives up in Portland, and he dragged me to a tiki convention that I thought would be the weirdest thing in the world, but it was really nice. And I came back with 2 wood tikis that are in my backyard, and that collection has grown until I eventually built this bar with my friend Manuel. And every once in a while, Andrew and I had talked about, okay, we need to go do a tiki road trip because Steve, we have an RV and it's great for doing tiki road trips. So before the trip you're talking about, back in November, Andrew and I decided to do a tiki road trip. And I won't go into that in the same level of detail, but we hit 25 tiki bars in 7 days.
Wow.
We started off in the Bay Area. We went down Bakersfield, we did Los Angeles, we did San Diego, we did Orange County, Ventura County, up to Santa Cruz County, over to into the Bay Area again and back. And it was a great trip, but there were a number of bars we couldn't get to because since COVID, bars aren't open often 7 days a week. And we were in different places at different times, we couldn't get everywhere. So there were about 5 or 6 bars in the Bay Area we had wanted to get to, and we just couldn't get there. So we started talking, hey, could we do just those bars? Maybe Andrew flies back down from Portland, we just go to those bars. And he said, well, we're gonna do that. Like, let's see if we can do something special. So mapped it out and came to the conclusion that we could hit 17 tiki bars in 55 hours, starting at 11 o'clock on Friday, going all the way through to Sunday. And Andrew was in, I was in, 2 of his friends were in, and we were like, let's do it. So we have submitted to the Guinness Book of World Records. I don't know if the Guinness Book is going to accept the record, but we've submitted it and we're in the queue to wait and see what happens. So that's how it came about.
Wow.
I'm going to talk about the trip itself.
Yeah, so 17 tiki bars, and the other friends, Wes and Eric, joined you. And we'll talk about this one specifically because I actually want to kind of go back to where, this whole idea for you originated. But I'm so fascinated by this trip in itself and the fact that you did this in an amount of time. Here is my obvious question. When you go to a tiki bar, it's all about the drinks. And so if you're trying to do it in that amount of time, what was the strategy? Because you had to drink something at each tiki bar and then someone had to drive. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the strategy was important. And, of course, right now they're blowing our neighbor's lawn. Can you hear the blower? Or is it okay still?
No worries. We'll keep it going.
Good. So, and tell me if it gets to be a problem. Not that I know what I would do about it. So, first of all, we tried to cluster tiki bars together in the evening when we could Uber around and we didn't have to drive. That was one strategy.
Yeah.
The second is the ones that were further apart, where there's 2-3 hours in between, we could go in, I could have half a drink and still safely drive, and then 3 hours till the next one, and have a drink and move on. There were 2 bars where I didn't have anything. My companions had a drink and I didn't because I needed to drive and be safe. So I think I did have 18 drinks over the 55 hours, but it was I had 1 and a few where I had 2.
I love it.
Strategy.
All right. So, and the great thing too is not only were you guys enjoying the experience, you actually went in with kind of an idea of like, we're gonna rate these. And so what you sent across to me is you had a section where it's, confirmation of attendance, date, name of verifier. I imagine this was probably for the Guinness Book of World Records with a signature. Then you go to the part where, drinks consumed. And it's funny, I put a little note. I said, he only left 2 places for that. Like, how many drinks would you really consume? But obviously with the strategy, you had to be limited. And then we get into the review info section where you guys talk about decor, staff, tiki and escapeness, music, drink, menu quality, history, vibes, swag notes. You had it all. So I love the fact that you were going in and ranking. So what was that like? Where, some of the guys drinking, the rest of you, taking notes. How did you guys divvy that up amongst the 4 of you?
Yeah, so we each had our own book. We printed it out as a little booklet, and we would each fill it out ourselves. And then in the evenings or the next morning when we would have breakfast, we would talk about the previous bars and we would rate them more. What's our favorite, which is the one we wouldn't recommend going back to. And at the end of the trip, we ended up with 3 or 4 favorites that I'm happy at the end of this to share that secret.
Yes.
And frankly, 3 of them are easy driving distance from Sacramento that don't even require you to go over the Bay Bridge and get into San Francisco.
All right, I told you it was going to be great, and we got more to come. We're actually going to dive more into the experience of what actually took place visiting those 17 tiki bars. And what a great job by Scott to kind of get us started with this whole tiki bar experience. It is now time to thank our sponsors, and we're very grateful to our 4 sponsors on the program. I'm going to tell you about 2 of them, starting with Pit Boss Jerky. Joe Green, who is featured in episode number 26. What does he do? Well, his craze is beef jerky. And you've got to hear his story by going to episode 26. It's just amazing. He's got 13 flavors, which is crazy in itself. Usually someone maybe on the local side, you think maybe 2 or 3 flavors. No, not the case. I would just call Joe a mad scientist. And of course, that is a compliment. 13 flavors. I'm just going to read them off for you. The original 6, pepper garlic, Pit Boss Original, Sweet Summer, Honey Gold, Sweet and Smoky, and Little Heat. Then came along Urban Smoke, Big Heat, and then Keto Mix along with Raspberry Apple Chipotle. That turned out to be my early favorite. Then Island Teriyaki came around a few months ago. That was followed up. Are you ready for this? Experience the Buzz. That's right. We have our own flavor, and it's very unique. You've got to try it. And then he's got another specialty that's come out. It's a barbecue flavor that is, again, sensational. So whatever flavor you want, he's got it for you. Now, how do you get your hands on this incredible beef jerky? Well, you can go to the farmer's market. I believe he's there at Carmichael's Farmer's Market on Sundays. But if you need it earlier than that, he's got a number. Here it is, 916-769-6807. That gets you on the leaderboard. Again, 916-769-6807. Also, want to salute Little Whale Swim School. They are the premier swim school in Sacramento, located right here in the capital city at 4106 El Camino Avenue. That is just shy of El Camino High School. You can find them at littlewhaleswim.com or call them at 916-790-5945. What sets them apart? Well, first, the facility. It's a custom-built indoor facility, so that means the water's going to be nice and warm for you. Here's the best part. They're year-round. That's right. From January to December, it doesn't stop at Little Whale. And age-wise, you could be a baby just starting out learning how to swim, or you could be an adult. They've got classes for everybody. Outstanding staff. You're going to be well taken care of. You don't call it the Premier Swim School unless it's Premier, right? So I give that to you. Again, Little Whale Swim School. And Anya Hall is the leader of the charge, and she is featured in episode number 6. That's right. You got to go way back. She was one of our very first guests on the program. An amazing story that you've got to hear. So a big thank you to Little Whale Swim School and Pit Boss Jerky. Now let's get back to our conversation, Talking Tiki with Scott Shapiro. And so it started, now I don't know if these were in order, but you had Trader Vic's Outpost in San Jose. And then I don't know if you finished off with Forbidden Island, which you've already mentioned, which is in Alameda. Do I have that correct, that as I see them, that was what the order was?
That is. And if you'd like, I can share pictures as we go and share a little bit of what these places look like.
I mean, check this out. Okay, this is Scott doing this on his own. I did not ask him to do this, but he's got some pictures for us. So let's take it through as we talk about this amazing excursion.
Okay, so I'm going to share screen here.
So all the love began at Trader Vic's Outpost, and we are doing the screen share. I love it. Okay, I'll let you take us through.
All right, so here's the dirty little secret about this particular bar. Trader Vic's Outpost, you know where it is?
Well,
TSA security at the San Jose airport.
Absolutely crazy. That's insane.
Go there if you're flying out. You can go there if you're flying in. Otherwise, you can't get there. So my friend flew in from Portland. I bought a Southwest ticket for $59 so I could get through security and I could go to Trader Vic's Outpost. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to go in. And then I turned it into a credit, and I've since used it for another flight. But that's
nice.
Get there, you got to be flying in or out of San Jose. And so here's Trader Vic's Outpost. I'm going to look away from the camera a little bit just so I can show you. Here are the friends. You've got me driving in. Here are Andrew and Eric and Wes on the flight flying in. And then this is the view you get. And we've got a bunch of selfies of people. We've got some of the decor you can see. Here's a great picture of the 4 of us with our drinks, all taking our masks off to drink and then putting them back on after we're done. And you can kind of see the decor. It's really, it's the best airport bar I've ever been to. And even if it wasn't a tiki bar, even if I wasn't a tiki guy, I would say it's a tiki bar because the drinks are just so good. Scrolling down a little bit more, you can see the decor. It looks a lot like the area I'm standing in, but obviously in an airport. And so there's a whole lot of people walking by, and you can see my Tiki shirt and Andrew's Tiki shirt and Wes and Eric as well. So that's our first one.
I love it. And it's in an airport. That is just the craziest thing. So that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so from there, we got in the car and we drove to Santa Cruz. And we went out to a place called Makai. I'm going to show you the view from Makai. Isn't that beautiful? It's
wow.
Here itself. It is a restaurant that underwent a completely remodel, and they came back as a tiki bar. And it is beautiful location. Look at the setting. You can see the birds, you can see the fish, but look at the inside. Look at all that wonderful bamboo, all the hanging lights. The decor is just incredible. Let's see if I can get this to play.
Oh, this plays. Then this podcast is just going to a whole different level.
It has a carousel.
Oh, wow.
In the
has
tiki bar.
The carousel bar.
Yep, just goes around. You sit there. You have your drink. By the way, the food is spectacular at Makai as well.
Well, and that's a big thing, right, Scott? Because originally, it was all about the drinks, but then they got to a point where they, were able to add some food, and then it just made it even better.
Yeah. So Makai was just wonderful. It was where we had our lunch, and then at the end, let's see, how do I see if I can get this to go back? Yep, there we go.
That is so cool.
Right. Beautiful details there at Makai. You can kind of see some of the architecture, some of the details they've done. By the way, I have a Tiki Bar menu collection too. And so if you ever come over for a drink, Steve, we'll go through the menu collection. You can see some of the really cool menus. So we're still here in Makai. Here's our group photo back in the captain's room. These little portholes are TV screens.
Oh my gosh.
As you're standing there. All right, so we leave Makai and then we head over to Hula's Tiki Room. Hula's Tiki Room is also in Santa Cruz. It's a chain. Some of you may have seen there's one in Monterey. There's also one in Scottsdale and one in Arizona. And we just had a great time there. We sat at the bar. We got to talk with some folks. You see this little lamp here that I'm circling?
Yes, tell me.
All right, this is a lamp, which is a copy of a Trader Vic's lamp. And I think right there, yep, right there, you'll see
there it is.
Lamp that I have as well. And so that's kind of a classic. You can see the architecture, a lot of bamboo. We had some really nice drinks there as well. I think here's a little review that I did on the spot. Let's see if we can get that to play. Absolutely. All right, we're here at Hula's in Santa Cruz, and our bartender is Sailor. Sailor, tell us about where we are.
Well, you're in Santa Cruz at Hula's Island Grill. We've been here for about 15 years, and still going strong.
You heard it from Sailor himself.
Absolutely.
All right. Steve, I'm taking over your show. You've lost control. You made me the Zoom host, and now there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing I can do but step back and just smile. This is great.
So I'm going to keep going through the end of Friday, and then we can check in a little bit if you want me to keep going. But
Sure.
Our third stop is we went to San Jose, and we went to Dr. Funk's. So Dr. Funk is based on a character from actually 150 years ago who tended to a bunch of the British and pirate captains who went through that area of the world. And it's all about this doctor, crazy doctor, who kind of comes up with all sorts of secret drinks. Elixirs of the Pacific, as you can see. And I don't know if there's a good picture of it. Oh yeah, right here. You see above the bar, do you see all these glass beakers and the water pumping between them? Kind of looks like some Frankenstein monster thing going on. They have a nice little menu. We had some great drinks. Here you go. This is the drink I had. I had the Dr. Funk when I was there. So some nice stage pictures. So from then we walked around the corner and we went to Tiki Pete's. Now, Tiki Pete's is named after Pete, who was a Hawaiian who came to the US and opened this bar. And this is really more of a kind of a college bar. It's got the look of a tiki bar, but the drinks are not really craft cocktails. A lot of pre-mixed stuff. You can see it was sponsored by Kona Brewing. All of these are bright fluorescent colors, kind of like you would expect to get on a cruise ship. And so this was our little sampler, and we tasted that. This is Pete in the background. Nice guy, not probably where you want to go if you want to experience the traditional tiki, but if you want to have fun with about 75 young adults dancing on the floor with a lot of beer and a lot of drinks, this is the place you want to go.
Okay, so Scott, just based on like those things that you're saying right there, I imagine this one did not make the top 3 for authenticity.
It did not make the top 3 for
authenticity. Okay, all right. I could just tell.
It was great. Pete was fantastic. Great vision. Just not what, I'm a 54-year-old man.
Yeah.
That's all.
I hear you.
All right. So then from San Jose, we drove into Oakland and we went to the Kon-Tiki. All right. The Kon-Tiki, really hip area, very crowded, hard to get in. You can see the great decor they've got. The bar is huge, fantastic lights they've got up on top. Right, great menu. Look at this wonderful mug they have. It's huge. Here's my friend Andrew. Because, he told me he had to drink that entire drink.
Well, and hey, Scott, speak to that, because that's another thing is what you drink in the cup that you get. The tiki cup is like a big part of this culture.
It is, and all the tiki mugs you see behind me are from bars I've been to.
Nice.
I only buy tiki mugs from bars I've been to, and don't tell too many people, but I've now been to 71 tiki bars around.
Wow.
From tiki bars in Texas, in the Bay Area. Over here, we've got tiki bars in Chicago, in Washington, D.C. This is also Bay Area. Over here, we've got the 2 different Disneys, Sacramento, New Orleans. These are from Hula's. And all the way over there, I don't know if you can see, this is my international tiki mug shelf.
Okay.
From Nuremberg, Germany.
Wow.
Mug is from Porto, Portugal. This one is from Budapest, Hungary. This one is from London, and this one is from Carnival Cruise Line. And I got another 20 tiki mugs underneath the bar that I got to build more shelf space for.
My goodness. Wow. So Scott Shapiro is taking us through this an amazing journey that he went on with 3 other friends, and basically just hitting just kind of right here in California. They got 17 in a matter of just over 2 days, trying to set a world record. He talked about the strategy, but the tiki bar is a real thing. And we mentioned too that, the most popular one in Sacramento is the Jungle Bird, which you've already referred to, but you can even go on and you will see that there are more tiki bars that are right here in this area. But what Scott is sharing with us is he's saying, you know what? It's worth the drive, and it's not that far away to see the ones he's talking about right now.
Absolutely. So that first night, from the Kon-Tiki, we went to the Kon-Tiki Room, which is a spin-off bar. Spent a few minutes there. It's across the street from the Fox Oakland, if you know where that is.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You can see the decor. Again, it's beautifully done. And then we ended the night, our first night, at Tiki Tom's. And Tiki Tom's, you look at this setting, where do you think that is? Can you figure out from that picture where you would be? Does that look like somewhere in Northern California, some high-tech area? Not really. That's actually in Walnut Creek.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
In Walnut Creek. And look at the inside of this bar. It's
beautiful.
Remarkable. It's beautifully done. Great lights, great mementos. Look at this. He went back and found this Big Bang show where they went to a tiki bar, and he figured out what 4 mugs they had and went buying them up on eBay. So these are the replicas of the 4 mugs that the Big Bang actors had. Here is a replica of remember the famous Tiki Totem from the Brady Bunch?
I do remember that, yes.
Of that, with that picture. Here's Gilligan's Island. Here's the mug that was in Gilligan's Island, right? Just has a great time really playing with it. So here we are, Tiki Tom's, the end of our first night, went and checked into the Embassy Suites Hotel and fell asleep. And that was Friday night. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our first night.
8. Yep. So that's one night in the books, or one day in the books, and then you come out, and where's it kick off from there?
Yeah, so we drove from Walnut Creek up to Napa, 45-minute drive, and we went to Wilfred's. Sorry, some of these are a little out of order. Here we go, Wilfred's Lounge. So Wilfred's Lounge, right on the Napa waterfront, right around the corner from that cool shopping area that everyone goes. See it. Really a modern take on the tiki look, and absolutely incredible drinks. And the food is spectacular. Let me reach over here and grab a menu. They had a broken menu. The class was broken, so they kindly gave it to me. And they've got the 1944 Mai Tai, just like I made. And then they've also got these amazing, really modern drinks, like the Hippa Hippa Parade. They've got over here a Maximum Aloha. They've got drinks with all sorts of really crazy ingredients you've never even heard of before. And then in terms of food, you've got your traditional pineapple fried rice, your Honolulu burger, your chicken katsu, your 5 spice sticky ribs. And some of the guys I was with had the ribs. They said it was amazing. Ribeye steak, the Krakatoa tuna, and the Kahlua pork, and then fantastic desserts, including a pineapple upside down cake. So we had a great time there.
Well, Scott, here's what I'm wondering too is, obviously there's such an array of, decisions to be made in terms of what drinks that you get at particular tiki bars. So what was the strategy behind that? Did you just ask what are the most famous, or did you, try to go off kilter a little bit and try something that maybe, was a little off from what was the main drink?
Well, I have some favorites, but I just go to every bar drinking my favorite. It's not an exploration.
Right.
Most bars have a drink named after the bar. And so I would order the drink named after the bar. So it's always different. And it's almost always created by one of the bartenders there.
Love it.
So, for example, at Wilfred's, see here, Wilfred has the Wilfred's Flora, and that's the drink I had at Wilfred's. At the Makai, the one in Santa Cruz, they have a Mr. Makai, and I had the Mr. Makai. So I tended towards that. That was always my strategy.
Yep.
The other guys, they liked alternating sweet and sour. Right? Too much sweet, they'd go crazy. Too much sour, they'd go crazy. So they tried to alternate back and forth. So different approaches to it.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see. We got Napa, and then we're going to go to the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco.
This is all Wilfred still. Look at the creation here. I mean, have you seen the garnishes? What a beautiful job they do with it. Look at these incredible drinks they've presented. This one here is my favorite. They're just gorgeous. All right, so we go past. This is all Wilfred's.
And again, I invite everybody, like if you're listening to this on the audio portion, I'm hoping that you're getting that sense of what the Tiki Bar is all about. But I want to invite you really, especially for this one and what Scott has done as far as the preparation in terms of delivering some great visuals for us. Check out the YouTube version of this conversation. Continue on, Scott.
What do you think of this second floor at Wilfred's that looks like a boat? Can you see that?
I love it.
4 handles that are made out of an octopus. Right, absolutely incredible. Okay, so we finish up in Wilfred's, lots of pictures of Wilfred's. We head into San Francisco. As we're walking down San Francisco, we come across Trader Vic's Alley. So we got a picture there, Trader Vic's Alley. Then here's Tiki Bob. Tiki Bob is a post holding up a bar in San Francisco. It's no longer a Tiki Bar, but once upon a time it was. And so this is Tiki Bob. All of our friends hanging out with Tiki Bob. And then we go to the Tonga Hut. The Tonga Hut is in the Fairmont Hotel. It is in the space that was originally an indoor pool, and it was converted to the Tonga Hut, I think in the 40s. And it has been going strong since then. Have you been in, Steve? Have you ever been in the Tonga Hut? Excuse me, the Tonga Hut, the room.
I haven't. The only thing I've been to, Scott, is the Tiki Room at Disneyland.
Okay. So the Tonga Room is an amazing experience. It's good for families. And it actually has a little lake in it. And there is a floating boat platform on the lake. And a band plays live on the platform while it moves back and forth in the lake. And you sit around the shore of the lake and have your food. So here we are going to the Tonga. Reservations are required. Beautiful, old school, old style. You can just see this. It's kind of classic wood, lots of dark wood. Here's the beautiful little lake. Here's the platform in the back where the boat is, where the band sits on.
Hey, Scott, when you were going into these tiki bars, were you like identifying to the, either the bartenders or whatever, what you guys were doing, like saying, hey, we're on this mission. Was that part of the spiel as you sat down to have a drink?
It wasn't when we went in, it was when we emailed them several weeks in advance to tell them we were coming and to get them ready for us and thinking about it, and honestly hoping we might get some free stickers, maybe a sticker or two. And we got really royal treatment as a result. So that's
great. That's great.
So here we are. It's 5 o'clock. They didn't open until 5 o'clock. Inside the Tonga Room at the Fairmont Hotel. Just a gorgeous setting. Great place to go and have a meal with your family. Here's the beautiful Fairmont Hotel in the front entrance. So from there, we went over to Last Rites, and then went into Last Rites. And this is Last Rites. So Last Rites is a different approach on a tiki bar. Last Rites, the whole thinking is it's a cargo airplane that crashed in the jungle, and you are inside the cargo airplane as the survivors that are enjoying the life as you can. And so you see here the actual airplane fuselage. They went down to the desert down near Palm Springs, and they actually found some old airplanes, cut them up into pieces, brought them back, and outfitted them in the bar. And they've got these big old skulls. They've got, look at these. I don't know if you can see, the actual chair is an airplane chair as well. They've got these beautiful fake stone they've done in the background. And it was a great experience at Last Rites.
That's great.
We then walked through the city. You can see the beautiful architecture in the city. We ended up trying to go into Smugglers Cove. That's the book I told you about, the Martin Kate book. But the line was too long, so we said, we'll come back later. And then we moved on, and we instead went to Zombie Village.
Zombie Village.
This is Zombie Village, and traditionally, a lot of tiki bars don't have a lot of signage. You don't know what's in there. If you go to Jungle Bird in our town, there's no signage. There's just a neon bird outside. It doesn't say Jungle Bird. So this right here is Zombie Village, and here we are inside. Really cool architecture. Again, great design. Look at the skull wall that they built.
Oh, wow.
Which is just both creepy and kind of cool. This is an amazing bar. And a lot of tanks with fish. Here they've got all the different islands represented up on the wall. I feel like I'm overwhelming you with pictures. They all look the same after a while, Steve.
No, but the visual is good because you're just seeing the common theme. And I do like the fact that you're, explaining each one. This is great. Very unique.
Well, from Zombie Village, now again, San Francisco, night 2. We're now at our 1, 2, 3, 4th bar. We then went over to Pagan Idol, which is our 5th one. Here's the sign for Pagan Idol. Pagan Idol is kind of like, it's in the financial district. It's where most people are wearing suits and drinking very expensive cocktails. But they've got some amazing big tiki. You can see the guy over here. They've got just another neat boat theme where the entire front room is done up like a boat. From there, we went on to Bamboo Hut. Bamboo Hut is like Tiki Pete's in San Jose. It is not a place you go for the traditional tiki drink. It is the place you go to have a lot of people playing music very loud and partying, which as a 54-year-old man, wasn't high on my list.
And probably the Bamboo Hut did not make the top 3.
For that reason. You can see the Bamboo Hut there. We then walked back to Smugglers Cove, the one that was too crowded. Again, Martin Cates, the one that brought back tiki in our country. And you can see here, again, the amazing architecture, the really great detail. Every room has a theme. It's just done up really nicely. And there you go. So that thus ends the second night. On to the Holiday Inn in San Francisco, where we crashed at 1 a.m. and got to sleep until about 9 the next morning. So that's our second day.
Okay, and then you take us through the end, which I think these last 3 are going to be pretty solid. Yeah. Starting with,
well, let me scroll past some of these extra pictures that just showed up.
Sure.
And drove over the bridge, got out, showed our friends the Bay Bridge, spent a little bit of time on Treasure Island, and then
boom.
There we are, Trader Vic's. So
there it is.
Again, Trader Vic's is kind of the place that started this whole thing. This is not the original incarnation. Have you been to Trader Vic's in Emeryville?
You know what? I have not. I had heard of it, but I have never been there.
So Trader Vic's in Emeryville, it's out on this little peninsula. It's kind of across the highway from IKEA, out on that little peninsula, very easy to get in and out of. And it is not dark, but it is escapism in that it is completely tropical. The great thing about Trader Vic's is the menu. I'm going to come over here out of screen a little bit and I'm going to grab a Trader Vic's menu that I bought, just because I want you to understand the great food options if you're thinking about taking your family.
So he's talking about Trader Vic's in Emeryville, kind of the one that's like the foundation of everything we've talked about today.
Well, it looks like I've only got a drinks menu, so I'm not going to be able to tell you what's in it.
Okay.
But I had an amazing piece of ahi on a sandwich. Our friends had a fantastic steak, really good food. Well, Trader Vic's is beautifully done. There are a number of different rooms made up in different ways. You can see here the main bar. It's just gorgeously done, all completely in theme. Some very original, authentic paintings from 70, 80 years ago that are worth a fair amount of money. Other rooms with amazing Polynesian masks. An outdoor bar area as well. You can see right out over the water. It was just an amazing experience. And if you haven't been there, I really would encourage you to take your family, just drive down one day on a weekend, have a meal, have a drink. It's a great way to get introduced to Tiki.
Yeah, I like the fact that you said that a lot of these places, there is that opportunity for the family to take part.
Absolutely. Okay, so from Trader Vic's, we moved on, and I'm still in Trader Vic's pictures here. There's so many. Here's the sign outside. Oh, so after Trader Vic's, we went over to the Kona Club, which is in Oakland. And the Kona Club is pretty traditional Tiki, but it's also kind of a neighborhood bar. Regulars come in, have their drink, which isn't a Tiki drink at all, but the architecture and some of the drinks are Tiki. You can see here again that classic architecture. This one was done by a guy named Bamboo Ben. Bamboo Ben is a freelancer who works for bars that are opening Tiki bars. He comes in, he does all the decor. He did this one of his first ones. He did Tiki Tom's in Walnut Creek. So he's pretty well known in the Tiki community. And you can see it looks very much like you're in Polynesia with the masks, the bamboo, etc. And there's the pool table, just to remind you, you're in Oakland, right? You're not in Polynesia. Here's the overly large Connect 4 board that you can play a game on. Okay, so that was our second to the last bar. And I hope you don't think that the next few pictures are in bad taste, but we had learned that literally around the corner is the tomb of Trader Vic.
Oh,
so
no kidding.
To visit and pay our respects. And so what you see here is his tomb, and we visited, took some pictures, and
wow,
we did one sip of rum in his honor for everything he started. Because he's
respect. I think that's great, Scott. Yeah.
So
that's great. I love it.
Then we ended up at Forbidden Island, the very last one, which also was kind of the start of the Bay Area Tiki revival. That's where Mark Tate started out, and got some great indoor architecture. You can see a lot of record albums on the walls and other paintings. Here's the outdoor. Look at the size of this Tiki. It is considered to be the largest freestanding movable Tiki that is available out there.
Wow.
Some really wonderful lamps, people having a great time. I don't know why. I've got a picture of items. And so that's really the end of it.
That is amazing. All right, it's now time to thank our sponsors once again. So fortunate, I have to say, to have the 4 amazing sponsors that we have. I've already mentioned Pit Boss Jerky and Little Whale Swim School. Throw in there R5 Stitch and Print. He, along with Joe Green, Troy Rousey that is, have been with me since day one. Troy's story is a pretty cool one. You can find that in episode number 25. His company, R5 Stitch and Print, they specialize in screen printing and embroidery. In fact, if you're on the visual side, this, R5 Stitch and Print, this, R5 Stitch and Print. There you go. So they feature screen printing and embroidery, as I said, featuring high precision stitching and large format printing. Basically, there's nothing they can't do. It's amazing what you can print on, okay? And if you don't know, you want to contact Troy, talk to him and his staff along with an in-house graphic designer. They can help build a logo or just simply kind of a program of what you want to get, whether it be for your business or on the personal side, they have you covered. You can go to their website at r5print.com or call them at 916-454-3773. And of course, hey, just tell them that Steve sent you. Troy will be glad to help you out. And we finish out with Matt, the mortgage guy, Matt Gouget, featured in episode number 28, mtmg.com or 916-802-9291. Basically, what they do is they will help you with any kind of loan or refinancing, getting into a home, you name it. They did it for my wife, Kristen, and myself. We got through it, a refinance about, 6 or 7 months ago. From start to finish, took 30 days. We were very satisfied customers. The best part of it, I will say, was that Matt, whether it be personally or his team, were with us every step of the way, including lots of questions that I definitely had. So just know that you're in good hands. The other part is you can go to his website at mtmg.com, and there are tools right on there for you to use on your own, like the home purchase qualifier, refinance rate checker. They've got today's mortgage rates and loan options, all available to you on the website. And if that wasn't enough, Matt is also a big YouTube star. That's right, over 500 videos and 1 million views. Matt offers quality content on mortgage education, real estate, and even personal finance. And check this out, he also does a live chat every Monday. That's on YouTube. Look him up. Very simple. Matt, the mortgage guy. That's Matt Gouget, featured in episode 28. Mentioned Troy Rousey. He's featured in episode 26. Good stuff. A big thank you to all my small business owners who are sponsors right here on the program. With that said, let's get back to the conversation. And yes, we're talking Tiki Bar with Scott Shapiro. I think the burning question right now, Scott, is, and I'm glad we saved it to the end, you guys rated all of these tiki bars based on the format that we had described earlier in the podcast. So from going 3 to 1, what were the top 3? And I imagine this was a collective decision.
It was, and I don't know that I can tell you them in top order. I can tell you the top 4.
Okay, top 4.
4 of us could agree on which is 1, which is 2, which is 3, and which is 4.
Okay, so wait, are we saying top 4 in no particular order?
Or in no particular order?
Okay.
God, I want to be really careful when I say this, that we're not trying to disrespect any of the other ones.
Of course not.
They're just fantastic, but there were just 4 that blew us away. And the main factors we looked at were kind of authenticity of the design, fantastic drinks with a lot of homemade syrups and fresh ingredients. The flavor was great. They had really good food as well. And there was just a kind of a homey feeling about it. We were often sitting talking with the owner. They appreciated that we were into tiki and it wasn't just something they were trying to make money at. So
right.
With that caveat, I can tell you our favorite 4.
Drum roll, please. Here we go.
So I'm going to go in order that we went to them. And one of our top favorite 4 was Makai Island Kitchen and Groggery on the Santa Cruz Pier. It is, again, a wonderful fusion of Asian flavors. They've got some sushi, they've got some poke, they've got some traditional American foods with a little bit of an Asian flair. A great drink menu that they created, half the drinks themselves. Super care when they make them, squeezing the limes right in front of you, and really presenting a fantastic drink with amazing garnish and just feeling good. And it's a restaurant, so you can go with your family.
Okay, that's great. And the way you describe that, Scott, see, I'm all about experience, and everything you said there is about the experience, right?
That's right. And that's what Tiki is. It's all about the experience.
I love it. Okay.
Number 2, no particular order, is Tiki Tom's in Walnut Creek.
Okay.
To go back to Makai, you're looking at a, 2 hours and 45-minute drive to Santa Cruz. You happen to go on Friday and you hit traffic, 3.5 hours, miserable going over 17. Not that way with Tiki Tom's. You can get to Walnut Creek in 1 hour and 15 minutes. It is downtown Walnut Creek. A beautiful attention to detail. Drinks were great. Owner was lovely. Constantly building and playing and changing things to try to increase that experience. He was the one that had the Gilligan's Island section. He had the Big Bang Theory section, the Brady Bunch section. Just a really fun experience. So number 2, no particular order, Tiki Tom's Walnut Creek.
All right, 2 down, 2 to go.
Okay, number 3, again, super accessible from Sacramento, Wilfred's Lounge in Napa. It's a restaurant, not just a bar. You can go with your family. It is a 1-hour drive from Sacramento. It is beautiful. You can go there and have a drink and have some great food and go wine tasting in the afternoon. Again, the attention to detail is incredible. All homemade syrups. You know, I went easy. I bought the bottle of orgeat. They don't buy the bottle of orgeat. They boil the darn almonds with the sugar and make their own syrup. Really great flavors. And the architecture is great. The design is great. The views are nice. The food was really good for breakfast. It was great. Number 3, again, Wilfred's Lounge in Napa.
I love it. And who gets the 4th and final spot?
Okay, 4th and final spot. I can't do anything other than Trader Vic's in Emeryville.
Of course. I knew it had to be Trader Vic's.
Exactly. Again, it's a restaurant. Take your family. It's an hour and a half away. It is exactly across from Berkeley. So easy to get to on and off the highway. Really great food menu. I mean, amazing food menu. And you can sit outside, you can sit inside, you're looking out over the water. They know the history of Tiki. They have a lot of historic items there. You can explore great drinks. The bartenders are so knowledgeable. So that was our number 4. And God, I feel so bad just limiting it to 4 because there were so many other really quality bars like Forbidden Island in Alameda, which we really enjoyed. And going into San Francisco, the Tonga Room is a classic. And if you're going to go down to San Jose, Dr. Funk's was a lot of fun. And Hula's Island Grill has some of the best seared ahi steak sandwich I have ever had. But if I got to pick 4, I'm going to pick the 4 that I mentioned: Makai, Tiki Tom's, Wilfred's Lounge, and Trader Vic's.
So when you guys finished up your trip, what was that like? As you said goodbye and was like, you know, congratulations, we did this. I know this was kind of a follow-up because, as you had mentioned, you had done a similar trip with your friend Andrew, but now you bring 2 other guys into it and you complete the task. What was that like?
Well, I don't know if have you ever done a youth convention or a weekend with buddies where there's that moment that you all start splitting off, right? There's 5 of you, then there's 4, then there's 3, and then you have that quiet moment afterwards. Well, I drove them all to the Oakland airport, and they got out of the Oakland airport, and then I had to drive home alone. And so I stuck the music into the radio. I listened to Tiki music all the way home, which we never even talked about what Tiki music is.
I know.
People will do that another time, or we can talk about it now if you want. And I listened to the Tiki music. I drank a lot of water to flush everything out of my system. And I got home and I unpacked the car with all the great mugs I had gotten and the menus and really great memories. And Steve, I have to say, I really appreciate the chance to talk with you today because it allows me to relive it too, right?
No.
For a lot of people, this is the stupidest, goofiest hobby, but you know, I like a hobby that I can have fun with. And it's only fun with this. There's being a craftsman and building these items yourself with the home improvement feeling and going, wow, I made that. There's the joy that people have when they walk through the back door and they see it and they smile and they're like, wow, I would never have this in my life, but I'm smiling about it, right?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to get people to enjoy, and that's what I enjoy myself.
Well, Scott, listen, we're friends and stuff, and so I have to tell you, this is a very unique moment because I feel honored to like get this peek inside to explore something that I've heard about, kind of known about, but really did not understand the degree of the passion that's behind it. And I respect that because everybody has their hobbies. And like you said, you just want to feel good. You feel so good. You've got it in your backyard. I have to ask about that, of what was kind of that, what went into that to say, you know what, I'm going to build one of these in my backyard.
Well, my wife, Monica, you know Monica, you call her name out, you call her son's name out when the baby runs and you're emceeing them. She's very patient. She saw how excited this made me. She knows I work 60-hour work weeks typically, and she wanted something fun for me that I wanted to do. And when we moved into this house and had this beautiful backyard, that's why we moved into this house. We could entertain outside.
Yep.
I had a 50th birthday out here, and we hired a bartender who set up a portable tiki bar. And I said, God, it was so much fun having a tiki bar. I wish I could build one. And she said, you can. And I said, really? You're okay with that? She said, absolutely. My only rule is tiki stays outside, not inside. I don't want it to take over our house. And so she's allowed it to take over our backyard, which is wonderful. And we have various tikis around the yard that I can show you when you come over. And I've been slowly building this bar out. You can't see it all, but I've got a section over here. I've got a sink installed now. I've built a whole area up top for storage where I can keep my extra supplies. I've got these boxes back here, which I can lock up so the kids can't get to the alcohol, because
Of course.
unlocked alcohol in the neighborhood, right? It's just a lot of fun. So it's my project, and I'll do a bunch of house projects for a few months, and then I'll spend a weekend or two working on the Tiki Bar, and then projects, and then come back to the Tiki Bar.
Well, and I imagine you become like just that different person when you step into that space, because you just showed us you made a great Mai Tai, which I look forward to when I get that opportunity to come over to try one of those great drinks. But you become a different person. You're the bartender. You're the one hosting, saying, come into my space and you know what? Just smile and enjoy.
Absolutely. Do you remember the Cheers show, Sam behind the
Yep.
bar, right behind the bar?
Yep.
And everyone would tell Sam their problems. It's actually true. People come here for a drink and they tell me all their problems, and it unburdens them. And I have a great time making drinks for people. And I've got a whole selection of virgin drinks as well. Doesn't have to be alcoholic. I've got all sorts of fruit juices and other ingredients I can make. This doesn't need to be about the alcohol. I generally limit myself to one tiki drink when I'm here because I want to enjoy it. My goal isn't to drink to excess, it's to enjoy it.
So summing this all up, Tiki, just like take us through again. You've done such a wonderful job today, but if we're wrapping this up, putting a bow on it, what would you say to the life of Tiki as he takes another sip of the Mai Tai? Well, it starts with that, right?
Well, Tiki, as we talked about at the beginning, was all about escapism.
Yeah.
And I gotta say that for most of us, our lives all require a little escapism occasionally. And for, I think, all of us, the last 2 years has really pushed us to some moments of escapism. And I don't think of escapism as naive and ignoring our problems. I think of it as a chance to reset our minds and our bodies and enjoy the moment and not be thinking about the future, not be thinking about the 10 emails that come in, not be thinking about the meetings I got to do. And so for me, it really is about escapism, and it's about creating an environment in which I can relax and enjoy and listen to some music, have a nice drink, host some friends over. And then at the end of the day, I go back and I become the attorney at Downey Brand, managing partner for the last 9 years, attorney for 27 and a half years. And that's a real life, but I'm allowed to escape that life occasionally. And this is the way I've chosen to escape it.
Scott, I can't say it enough. You have done an amazing job. Like, again, when I was thinking about how this would go, I did all my notes. I'm like, I'm really going to lean on Scott on this one. I usually feel a little bit more prepared and stuff. And I have to say, you took it over the top. So I want to thank you for what you have done and what you have brought visually to really let us in on this experience.
I appreciate that, Steve. And I would love to have you guys over for a drink. Let's get it on calendar. And maybe you'll share the gospel of Tiki.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And my first Tiki bar will definitely be your backyard. So Scott Shapiro giving us the whole Tiki experience. Many thanks to him. Good friend and just great knowledge today on a fun subject. Well, that's all I got for now. Talk to you next time. Goodbye, everyone. So what do you think? Are you right now planning your next Tiki bar excursion, or maybe your first one? I'm going to hold to my promise and make sure that my first visit is to the backyard of Scott Shapiro, just because I am so thankful for this opportunity. I cannot say it enough. We had arranged this time of getting together. I did not even expect what I got today, which was the full visual and the experience of what the Tiki Bar is all about. I learned a lot. Hopefully you learned a lot too. And of course, maybe you're saying, you know what? Let's go to a Tiki Bar, whether it be the Jungle Room here in Sacramento. That is, by the way, on 25th and J. But I encourage you to try one of the 17 that Scott featured today so greatly. That you would have that opportunity to see what that's all about. And that's what the show is all about. It's just putting stuff out there where you go, you know what? I would like to go see what a Tiki Bar is all about. So good luck to you. I'm going to do the same, maybe put some Don Ho music on and go from there. And of course, we'll be back with you again next week for another episode of Experience the Buzz. That's all I got for now. Talk to you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for joining Steve this week on Experience the Buzz. Steve would love to hear from you. Leave a review or contact Steve directly with any questions at scbuzzard@gmail.com. To see the other adventures of Steve Buzzard, be sure to visit buzzardball.com.